Hey guys, welcome back, or welcome if you're new. This video is part one of a closet clean out. So this closet is in our living room. We don't use it really. It's just a bunch of storage, coats and blankets and things. The video itself is pretty self-explanatory, so I'm going to use this time for a little bit of storytelling. And if I see anything that I need to jump in and explain, then I'll do that. But I mean, essentially, we're going through the closets. It will be this closet as well as Aubrey's bedroom closet. And I will be getting rid of a lot of stuff. So we're going to just jump into this story time. So let me introduce myself. If you're new here, my name is Michelle. If you're not new, hey. So the story I'm going to get into is why I had a hysterectomy. So back in 1997, my mama, which is my mom's mom, she had uterine cancer. And they did a hysterectomy on her, and they were able to get all of her cancer. I don't remember her needing any kind of chemo or anything like that. And that was that. Fast forward up until just a couple of years ago. I do not have exact dates, but my aunt, which is my mom's sister, so this is all on my mom's side of the family, she had uterine cancer. Her prognosis did not turn out like my mama's. I don't know if they didn't get it all or if it had already spread. I'm not really sure, but my aunt did pass away. So I started thinking, trying to be a little bit proactive, not saying that I would ever even get uterine cancer or that anybody else in the family would get it. Like, it might have stopped there. I don't know. But I started thinking to myself that, I'm 45. I have 5 kids. I do not plan to have any more kids. I do have some female issues without going into tons of details. But, nothing major. Nothing that would warrant me needing a hysterectomy. But I still thought, let me go ahead and get in with my gynecologist and see, what they think. So I had my normal appointment with her. I believe it was last year. And I told her what I was thinking. And she was like, hey, if you decide you want to do it, schedule an appointment with the other OBGYN in the office, and see what he says. So I just, I kept it in the back of my mind and carried on with my life, but it was always in the back of my mind. So I went ahead and scheduled an appointment with this other doctor in the office. And I went in for my initial consultation, and I explained to him what it was that I was wanting to do. And, he said that it could be something that would skip me. It may not hit anybody else again in the family, or it could. There really isn't any way to know, I guess. I know they do have testing that you can do to see if you have these specific cancer cells or cancer genes or whatever, but I don't have the money for all that kind of stuff. And it wasn't even brought up. The doctor did not mention it. He just said that if I wanted to go through with a hysterectomy, he would support that, and that there were some things he needed to do beforehand if I was willing to do that. So that's where this journey really begins. The first thing that we did, if memory serves, is he wanted to do an ultrasound. So he wanted to check the thickness of my uterine lining. So I had an abdominal ultrasound as well as a vaginal ultrasound, and I don't remember the specifics of those results, but my uterine lining was thicker than it should be, which could indicate a cancer. But at the time, ironically, my monthly decided to be 21 days late, and I was later explained that it could have been thick because of that late monthly cycle. So the next step was, due to the thickness of the uterine lining, my doctor wanted to do an endometrial biopsy. So that can be done one of two ways, at least here. I could go to the hospital and be put under and have what's called a D&C, where they dilate your cervix and go in there and I think it's dilate and curette. And I'm not 100% sure exactly what that means, but I did not want to be put to sleep for that procedure. So the other option was to have it done in the office. And again, they do go through your cervix, but they didn't dilate anything. And I would say the procedure lasted less than 5 minutes, but that's just a guess. It was not painful, but it was a little bit uncomfortable to me. There was some pressure and like some tugging, is the best way that I could explain it. But that was just my experience. I know everyone is different, and I am not a medical professional at all. So the results of that endometrial biopsy were fine. They didn't find anything, but when I had my consultation with the doctor, and to go over, all of that, even though I didn't have anything pressing causing me to need a hysterectomy, like right now, he did say that he felt like with the family history and my age and whatnot, that if I wanted to go ahead and have the hysterectomy done, that he felt pretty confident that, that my insurance would cover it, as, I guess, just preventative surgery, I guess. So that day, we scheduled my surgery for December 28th. He had two openings, the 21st and the 28th, and I didn't want to do anything before Christmas just because I didn't know how I was going to feel. So I chose the 28th, and after that, I had an appointment on December the 8th to pre-admit. So I had to go to the hospital, fill out my paperwork. I had to do lab work and urine work, and then the day before my scheduled surgery, so the 27th, I had to go back to the hospital and repeat that urine and lab work. And pending those results, the hospital would call me and let me know what time I needed to be at the hospital for surgery on the 28th. Let me jump in right here and say that what I'm doing in this tote is, this was all of our extra sheets, and I think there were some blankets in here as well. And so I pulled everything out and put the sets together, and I did give one complete sheet set, king size sheet set, to my daughter, so she would have a spare for her bed, and I kept one spare sheet for me as well. And I of course kept our blankets. I think I only brought 1 or 2 blankets to Goodwill because we just have so many. And I thought, why hang on to that? I have a bad habit of keeping things for in case. And while, yes, that will prevent me from having to buy it again in the future, other people could use it as well. And so I thought, I've been hanging on to some of these things for like 10 years and longer. And so I just went through and got rid of stuff. I was purging, decluttering, whatever you want to call it. And so that's what I did. We also have some electric blankets that I went through and, paired up the electric blanket with its plug and put those all in one bag. And I was able to eliminate one tote from Aubrey's closet because at the time she had 3 totes, one big tote and then 2 slightly smaller totes of blankets and book sacks and summertime pool floaties and stuff like that. So this right here, for example, when I say I've been holding on to things for 10 years, this is a shower curtain that went with some bedding, and I also had the bathroom, like that's the little rug and stuff for in the bathroom. Like I had all of it, the sheets, the shower curtain, the bath mats, and I sent all of that to Goodwill. So somebody got them a cute little set, hopefully for not too expensive, at the Goodwill. So back to story time. We had 3 Christmases this year. We celebrated Christmas at 3 different places. And so 4 actually, if you count our family at our house. But so Christmas Eve, we went to my father-in-law and mother-in-law's house in Oretta. And then Christmas morning, we did presents here at our house. The things that we bought, as well as the Santa gifts for the kids. And then the 25th evening, we did Christmas with my mother-in-law in Jennings. And then the 26th, we didn't do anything Christmas-wise. But on the 27th, that is the day, if you remember, I had to go back to the hospital and repeat the blood work and stuff for surgery the following day. That is also the day that we did our last Christmas get together, and that was done for supper as well. All 3 of our Christmases get-togethers this year were for supper. And of course, I didn't really cook anything here Christmas Day. So anyway, back to the 27th, I went to town. I picked up my daughter. We went to the hospital. I did my blood work and stuff there. And then we came home, got everything together, went to my mom and dad's where we had my side of the family's Christmas. And then at some point during the day, I did get a phone call that I had to be at the hospital at 7:30 the next morning for my surgery. So we had our Christmas that night, came home, didn't really do much in preparation of post-surgery. Like, I don't know, I couldn't ever get it done. I wanted all of the housework done, I wanted everything done. But the kids had been home the week prior because they had 2 weeks out for Christmas, and literally the house was a disaster. But I didn't care. I came home, I sat down, spent time with the family, and went to bed. Got up at 5:30 the next morning and got everybody up and ready. I packed me a bag for in case they decided to keep me overnight, which my doctor had said I would go home that day, but that if for any reason I felt like I needed to stay overnight, to just say so and I could. And I had said that I would because we lived 30 minutes away from the hospital, and I just didn't want to be, far away from the hospital and something happened. And so I had said I would stay overnight, but I did not. So we leave the house and we get to Jennings, which is the city that we lived in before we moved to where we live now, and the city where I was having the procedure done. So we dropped off the 2 little kids to my mother-in-law, And my second oldest daughter, Haley, she came with us to the hospital because she had said that should I stay overnight, that she would stay with me. And we headed on to the hospital. So we got there, they took me into my room, and I let them know up front that I am very scared of being put to sleep. The last time I was put to sleep for my gallbladder removal, I was basically hysterical, okay? I was so scared that I would not wake up from surgery. I had a 3-week-old baby, and I just was scared. Not to mention, one, as I was going to sleep, I felt like I couldn't breathe. And I said I couldn't breathe, and they said something back, and I said I can't breathe, and they said something back, but then I was out. So, yes, hindsight, I know I was breathing because I was talking, but I felt like I couldn't breathe. So that was a scary memory. And then the way that I was woke up from my surgery was being asked if I took anything to slow down my heart rate, any medication. And I was like, yes, I take this certain medication to lower my pulse because I have heart palpitations. And this nurse proceeds to tell me that I needed to take some deep breaths because my pulse was in the 30s and my oxygen was low, and she scared the daylights out of me. I started taking deep breaths. Next thing you know, I was essentially hyperventilating. My blood pressure shot up. They had to give me medicine to lower my blood pressure. They had to give me nerve medicine to relax me. Like, it was scary, y'all. So that was 10 years ago. And for this surgery, I went back and forth. I was like, I do not have to do this. This is by choice. But I knew the alternative could be cancer down the line, which would mean, one, I'd still have to have this procedure, or it would be too late. I'm not trying to go into all the bad stuff that can happen in life. And ultimately, I do know that the Lord above has the final say in what my end will be, okay? But my paranoid side was like, what if I go to have this surgery to prevent getting cancer in the future and I don't wake up? Like, these are the things that my what if mind puts me through, y'all. But really, from the minute that I decided to have the surgery, I just started praying. And there would be nights that I would go to bed and be laying there thinking about it, and I would get literally, like, I would have anxiety. I'd have a panic attack. And, let me jump out of that story real quick to say these are the electric blankets that I was talking about earlier. We have one king size and I think 3 twin size. And these really came in handy the week before Christmas because we had temperatures down. I don't know if we made it to the single digits. I know we were definitely in the teens. And my central unit just couldn't keep us warm in here. I mean, it took the chill out of the air, and it definitely felt better than going outside. But I will admit that there were a few days that I sat under my electric blanket. But anyway, so back to the story. I spent a lot of time praying. I think I decided to go ahead and have the surgery in October. So I had a good 2-month period where I was really just like going back and forth with myself, like, you don't have to do this, but I wanted to. And so I prayed about it. I just basically asked Jesus to give me peace about it, that no matter what happened, it was his will, and, to just give me peace about it. And that is what happened. I got to the hospital that morning and I told them immediately about my prior experience and the fear that I had. And excuse me, and they, of course, gave me something to relax me. And I had already taken a little something to relax me from home because I do take medicine for anxiety. And so I was pretty chill when they came get me. In fact, my husband and my daughter teased me because when they were rolling me out of the room, I threw up my peace sign and I was like, peace. And they were like, oh, she was all, looped out from that medicine. But I was like, well, it was the combination of what I took at home for my anxiety attacks and what the hospital gave me in my IV. But I was pretty relaxed. And as I was being wheeled back to the operating room, I was again recounting my prior experience with being put to sleep and, voicing my fears, because I had been told, make sure you tell them about how you felt the last time, and they will definitely make you comfortable. So I was making sure everybody knew how scared I was. And I will say this anesthesiologist, he did come and sit down with me in my room and talk to me earlier, and I had already told him about my fears and, just that I was scared in general of being put under anesthesia. And, all of the people in the operating room prior to me being knocked out, they all knew as well. And so, they didn't do anything to scare me beforehand. And I say scare me because the last time for my gallbladder, they literally were like strapping me down with my arms out like I was on the cross, y'all. Like I've never had a C-section, but I've seen, video of women with C-sections and their arms are strapped out to the sides, and they were strapping me down like that before putting me to sleep. And that may be fine for some people, but for me, that's a no-no. So nothing like that happened this time. They brought me into the room. I got off of the one bed onto the other bed. I laid down. They did strap me, like they had put a thing around me because there was no sides on the bed. And they were like, this is just so that you don't fall off the bed. I'm sure they put rails at some point, I guess. But, that was it. The anesthesiologist came in and we were talking about my fear. And he was like, well, then you probably don't like a mask on your face either. And I was like, no, not really. Although that really was not a concern for me last time. I knew what was happening while the mask was on my face, but that did not scare me. But I realized what was going on, but at the same time, it's like ignorance is bliss kind of thing. And so they didn't say, okay, this will put you to sleep. But the anesthesiologist was like, I'm going to give you this in your IV. It will help to relax you. And that was it. Lights out. I don't remember anything after that until I was being rolled back into my room. Now, I will say, I woke up from this surgery loop to loop. You hear me? You've seen videos of people talking out of their minds after having like dental work done and stuff like that. I don't know why this anesthesia affected me this way because I've never had that happen before, but I was emotional. I remember talking and crying, but I don't remember what I said. I need to ask somebody. But my vital signs were good, blood pressure, everything was fine. I had zero pain. I was very dizzy, though, and nauseous. At one point, I thought I would vomit. However, I did not. I was told I needed to get up and go to the bathroom and move around because they were going to be doing my blood work to check my hemoglobin, and that if that blood work was okay, I could go home. And at this point, I was still so dizzy, y'all. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get my head off the pillow. But my husband and the nurse, they helped me up out of the bed. And I went to the bathroom. And I was able to use the bathroom. And, did my blood work. My blood work was fine. I was sent home. That night, I noticed I was going to the bathroom quite often, but I was not emptying my bladder, and I didn't realize that that's what was happening. But over the course of the night, I was in a lot of pain because my bladder was just filling up, basically. I would go to the bathroom, like I said, but it was not emptying my bladder. And I remember getting in the hot shower because, when you wet your hands, it makes you pee, right? Or at least that happens to me. It makes me need to go to the bathroom, should I say. So I stood in the shower hoping that would help me use the bathroom, and it did not. And back up a little bit, if you noticed me showing you the holes in those coats, y'all, some of these coats were like 15, 16, probably 20 years old. I don't know. I threw them away, okay? I did end up bringing a lot of stuff to Goodwill, but I also threw away some things. But anyway, I couldn't pee, y'all. And I woke up the next morning, December 29th, in pain. I couldn't stand up straight. My bladder was so full. I had my husband bring me to the emergency room. Ultimately, they put me a Foley catheter. I came home with it. I had it for, I think, 5 days. I went back on January the 2nd, I believe. I'm about to show y'all a hole in my pocket. That's in the pocket. I did end up sewing that, and I kept it because that was a good coat. Anyway, they put me a catheter, sent me home. Went back on January the 2nd. They took my bag off, attached a syringe, proceeded to fill my bladder up with 350 cc's of sterile water. Then they removed the Foley catheter, sent me to the bathroom. I used the bathroom, went back in to the room. They did an in and out cath to see how much was left in my bladder. And I had, I think, right at 50 cc's left, which the doctor said was perfect. And they sent me home, and y'all, the heavens rejoiced. I feel human again. I really have basically no pain from the incisions. My surgery was laparoscopic, but it was total vaginal hysterectomy. And I also had my tubes and ovaries removed, which that's a funny word. Let me see what that word is. Okay, it's multiple words, but let's see if I can pronounce this. Bilateral salpingo-oophorectomy, which just means they took out my tubes and ovaries, as well as my cervix and my uterus. They took it all out. I had 3 incisions, one on either side of my belly button and one in my belly button. And then I think, the stuff was pulled out the bottom. And I really don't have any pain from that. My biggest complaint is just the tiredness. I just feel drained. And then my insides feel funny because, there's a lot of extra room in there now. So anyway, I'm 1 week out today. I'm sorry that it has taken me so long to get y'all a video out. Like I said, I've had these videos ready for months. I just needed to go do voiceover. And so I figured I'd let y'all know what has been going on in my life. So that will be it for this video. I have a part 2 for this where I go through Aubrey's closet. And here I'm going to show y'all the before and after of how cluttered this closet is. But the next video will be Aubrey's closet that I go through. And I really hope that this video inspired y'all to get some New Year decluttering done. I hope that my story didn't bother y'all. I know it's not for everybody. And so if you are not here to hear about that kind of thing, I completely understand. But it's just part of my story. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this video. I really do. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up. This is our first trip to Goodwill after doing these closets.